Howdy folks, Mackie with Mackie Redd Horsemanship. Little DVD on my philosophy of round penning. We'll talk more about that as we go along, but what I want you to notice is that when I get in the round pen, I don't do anything. But if you see this horse, look at her. She's looking at me, throwing her head. She looks a little bit. She's not very happy. I have very little value in her life, and that's understandable, and I really got no problem with that. But my job here is to establish myself as the leader. And the way that horses do that in a herd is they make the subordinate horse move their feet. So you see, she doesn't like to be told what to do, but that's all right. She'll figure it out. That in this herd of two, I'm going to be the leader. And I'm going to do it without hitting her, without hurting her. All I'm going to use is what she knows. And what she knows is pressure. And horses only really want two things in life. They want food and they want comfort. And they'll avoid eating in order to be comfortable. So I'm trying to show her that as the leader, she'll be able to count on me. She looks in a little bit. You see me get after her there with my flag a little bit. And the reason why I did that was she's close enough that if she wanted, she could kick me. I don't think she wants to, but I don't want to take the chance. I work with lots of horses, and there's no reason for me to take the chance on any one of them, because after all, they are horses. But my job here as a leader of this herd of two is to establish myself as a leader, and I'm going to do that by making her move her feet. Now, I'm not just running her mindlessly in a circle. There are things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for her to talk to me. And you're right, she's not going to open her mouth and say a word, but her body language is going to tell me when she's ready to have a conversation about this. And already you notice that she's slowing down, she's looking in, and there she gets a little close again, but she's thinking about it. So how do I know? How can I tell when a horse is trying to communicate with me? Well, there are three things that typically happen in the wild. A horse will fix its ear on a dominant horse to make sure that they're paying attention and they don't miss anything. The second thing that will happen is a horse will begin to lick and chew. And that's their way of showing that they're relaxed. They're okay with the situation. They're willing to discuss the outcome of this conversation. And then the third thing that doesn't always happen, but sometimes they'll lower their heads to the ground. Now, in her case, she never does that. She never lowers her head through the entire process. But what you're going to see is her head will start to get lower. When she started out, her head was above that rail, that top rail of the round pen. Already, she's beginning to slow down. Her head's starting to come down a little bit, and she's starting to relax and try to figure things out. Now, I asked her to trot, so her job is to trot. She can't walk, and she'll understand that. She'll figure that out. Through this whole process, I have not said a word to this horse. I've not said, giddy up, go. I haven't said nothing. The only things that I use are body language, things that she understands. So I will point when I want her to go. I will cluck at her or kiss at her. And then if she doesn't go, I'll pick up my stick that has the flag on the end of it to motivate her. Now, pretty quick, I'm going to ask her to canter, right? Because I've got to be able to control her feet. Not only the direction she goes, but how fast she goes and when she gets to stop. And these are all ways in her mind that I have the ability to control what she does. So it's really a mental game. It's really not really a physical game. So she started to walk, so I pointed. But you notice I'm not chasing her. I'm just walking with her. Just like if we were walking down the road together, I'm just walking with her. And I'm trying to be as relaxed as I can possibly be, because I want her to be as relaxed as she possibly could be. So that's what we're shooting for. And that's our goal. There she started to walk, so I pointed again, asking her to move forward. So I teach three principles of horsemanship here. and they are intuition, control, and trust. So now I'm asking her to canter, and you'll watch. I'm gonna get after her a couple times because right here she wants to trot. I asked her to canter, she's got to canter. So, but notice what happens with me. My energy comes up, I walk a little quicker, I'm more aggressive, my body language is different. So she will learn to understand that her job, when I get more motivated, she needs to be more motivated. So I'm just trying to help her through this corner because she always wants to trot there, and who knows why. You know, she's a horse, so there's no way of knowing why she wants to do what she does, but we're going to keep her, and now I'm going to ask her to trot. Watch. And she trots. I never said anything. I slowed down my body language. I got soft. And although it doesn't appear from the angle of this camera, I'm in the center of that round pin. So I go back to the center. I relax. That tells her she can relax. And so somewhere in here, it's difficult to see in the video because of the way it's set up, but she does lick and chew. She lowers her head a little bit. You notice her eyes are right around the second rail, not at the top rail where they were when she started out. And she's starting to look in. That's great. She's looking in to say, okay, whatever it is, just let me figure it. And so what I'm going to do here is in the next turn or two, I'm going to ask her to come to me, and I'm going to do that by not saying a word. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to back up and take all that pressure away from her so that she realizes that there's no pressure on her at all. And initially what will happen is she will look, because I moved backwards, she will look to see what are you doing, and then when she sees I'm moving away, that's going to be her cue to come forward. It's the same cue I use to teach a horse to be caught in their pen, which is what I use with her on the next day, and I would use every day after that. With any horse. In this way, I teach the horse not to be caught, but I teach the horse to catch me. I want her to understand that if she comes to me and catches me, everything in her world is just going to get better and better, and here it comes. And I back up pretty big at first so that she can see it. She sees me. As long as she's coming, I'm going to try to walk back. I stop here only because I want to make sure I'm in the view of the camera so you can see the results. So when she gets up to me, I'm going to turn sideways to her, which makes me seem less threatening, and I'm going to ignore her. Right now, what I'm going to do is let her stand and rest. See her licking, chewing, and up to this point, I've not touched this horse. Their owner, when they brought the horse to me the day before, turned her out into the round pen. I've not put a halter on her. I've not put a rope on her. I have literally not touched her with my hand, but I'm going to here in a second. But I keep moving around. I don't want her to be afraid of my body movement, just my intention, and there's the first time that I ever touched this horse. So what I'm trying to do is what horses do with horses. And what horses do with horses is they stand with one another quietly. And sometimes if the flies are bad, they'll swap head for tail and they'll swish the flies off another horse. So I try to be as much like a horse, to think as much like the horse as a two-legged predator can do. And you know, that's it's not always easy to do. It takes time. So the three principles of horsemanship that I teach are intuition, control, and trust. So at the very beginning, the way she was acting, I could tell, well, she had no value. I had no value in her life. But it didn't take very long before she realized that, you know, maybe he's not such a bad guy after all. But for me, it's about control. I've got to be able to control this horse's feet. Because one day, when I ride her, I need to know that if I ask her to turn right, she'll turn right. Or if I ask her to stop, she'll stop. So control is very, very important. But I've got to learn to control me. I've got to learn to control my tools. I've got to learn to control everything about who I am as a horseman. So I just went off for a walk to see if she would follow me. And it doesn't look like it in the video, but I'm actually standing in the center of the round pen. Now we're going to do some more work, but she followed me to the center of the round pen. Why in the world would I want to chase her off when she came to me or when she followed me? So I'm going to give her a little bit of time just to stand there with me quietly like we did before. I try, doesn't always work that way, but I try to make her rest as long as the time that she had to work. So it's fair. And what you'll see here is she steps forward and she's smelling me. She's getting to know me. She hasn't touched me, and it's difficult to see from this angle, but she hasn't touched me. Pretty soon you're going to watch, she's going to put her head on the back side of me as though she was sniffing to see if I had anything in my wallet. But on these occasions, she never, ever touches me. And that's how horses show they respect one another. So right now she's just taking a breath of me, and there she smells my pocket, but she never touches me. Never in an aggressive way as though she wanted to bite me. The key here, folks, is just take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Enjoy this opportunity. What's happening right now is as important, if not more important, than anything that we've done so far. Because she now knows that I respect her, she respects me, and there's rest for her work. So I'm going to ask her to go off the opposite direction, but notice I don't get after her, I don't jump after her. She goes off at a walk, and that's really, really what I'm after. I want her not to ever think that when I ask her to go away or I ask her to do anything, that she has to jump out of her skin. Now she's going to turn directions here, and I'm not going to be able to cut her off in time. Remember, I'm supposed to control the direction. So I missed my opportunity, so I just cut across the round pen, and we just start over again. It's not any big deal. No reason to get upset. It wasn't her fault. She'd been going that way for a while. So now we're back to what we were doing on the other side. And when she was going counterclockwise, now we're just doing the same thing as she goes clockwise. I'm still looking for those three things: her inside ear, licking and chewing, and watching for her to lower her head to the ground. All ways that she shows that she's submitting to me as a leader. The exact same things that she would do in the wild. So I have a real issue with this idea of natural horsemanship, because the minute you put a horse in a round pen, it's no longer natural to the horse. The minute you put a halter or a lead rope on a horse, it's no longer natural to the horse. Now, we can call it whatever we want if it makes us feel better, and that's fine by me, but I call it what it really is. There are two kinds of horsemanship. There's good horsemanship and there's bad horsemanship. And what I try to teach people is to be a good horseman. There's nothing natural for the horse about what we're doing. And I hear people say, well, natural horsemanship is just really a term for, a process or a way that we do it. And I disagree with that as well. This is horsemanship. And horsemanship means I'm trying to develop a relationship with this horse in the only way that I know how to do it, and the only way the horse knows how to do that. And when I've pinned this horse up, or I put a halter, you just wait, we put a saddle on this horse, and you tell me that it's natural for the horse. It's not. And I know that flies in the face of everything that most people are seeing on TV or seeing in videos, but it's just the way I look at it. I have a way. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm just saying it's a way. It's a good way. It's worked really, really good for me, and it's worked really, really well for lots and lots of other people. So we're establishing ourselves here as a leader, And notice that she's back to just kind of jogging. She's kind of relaxed. Her nose is down to that third rail on the round pin as we watch her begin to relax. And I'm still watching for her to lick and chew. So I'm going to ask her to canter now. So notice my energy comes up, and right here, it's hard to see, but when she comes around to this corner on your left, right about here, she tries to trot. Yeah, right there. And so I'm going to encourage her to move forward. So I know she's going to do that. Watch. She's going to do it again. Went to the trot, so I get after her. So now I'm going to try to help her around this corner. She just kind of stalls out right here. So I'm going to try to help her. That time, all it took was a point. Did not need to use my flag. But I'm going to add more pressure to help her through that spot. And that's not necessarily her fault. It could be that I'm just a little further away from her right there than I am anywhere else. And so she feels the pressure comes off. She thinks that she can trot. So here I'm just going to push her through so she canters all the way through that spot that she thinks she needs to trot. And I'm going to do it again. And that time, not a problem. She tried it again. But she's getting better. See, the key here is me controlling. I decide how fast she goes. So anytime she breaks down, I want to push her forward. Now, I asked her to trot there. I don't know if you noticed it, but my energy came way down so that her energy could come way down. And so that's really what our goal is here, is to get her to realize I'm not here to hurt her. I'm the leader, and when the leader says it's time to move, it's time to move. So what we're watching for now is for her to slowly relax, and she's licked and chewed somewhere in here by now, and I'm going to ask her to come to me here, right here, and I'm going to keep coming back. As long as she comes forward, I'm going to come back. And this is pretty much where it ends on this part of the video. It's very much like what you just saw earlier. I hope that it's something that you'll be able to use down the road. You can get a hold of me at mackieredd.com or Mackie Redd Horsemanship on my Facebook page. I hope to see you down the trail. Appreciate it very much, and thanks again.